This is the Better Physician Life podcast. I'm Dr. Michael Hersh, a full-time practicing gastroenterologist, a husband, a dad, and the founder of Better Physician Life Coaching. This podcast is designed to help physicians create work-life balance, set goals, manage stress, and feel more present at home and less annoyed at work. It's time to stop feeling trapped in medicine and start enjoying the lives we've worked so hard to build. Welcome to the very first episode of Better Physician Life, how to get unstuck in your medical career. I'm Dr. Michael Hersh, and I'm so glad you're here. Whether you're driving home from the hospital, finishing up charts, or just taking a walk to clear your head, this space is for you. So why Better Physician Life? There are so many podcasts out there for doctors. There are ones about finances and side gigs, podcasts about optimizing our charting and fine-tuning our clinical skills. This one's about your life, your fulfillment, and your sense of purpose. Beyond the pager, if anyone actually still uses one of those, and the EMR. It's about what it means to be a whole person who also happens to be a physician. So I created this show because I've lived the experience of waking up in the middle of what's supposed to feel like success and feeling stuck, like something was off. Nothing catastrophic, just this kind of low-level hum of restlessness. Kind of a whisper in the back of my mind that just was naggingly asking, is this really it? Am I really just doing this every day for the rest of my life? Now, that whisper, it didn't start loud. It crept in slowly. On the drive home after a long day, during those in-between moments in the endoscopy lab, realizing I still had 10 more colonoscopies to go before my day was over, or while listening to my kids laugh in another room and just realizing I was too mentally spent to join them. At first, I ignored it. I told myself to be grateful. I needed to just stay focused and push through because that's what we do in medicine, right? We just tell ourselves to just keep going and eventually we'll get through it. But over time, that whisper started to get louder and eventually I couldn't unhear it. I was exhausted, not just physically, but emotionally. And the joy I once found in patient care started to get dulled. The pride in my work was still there, but something deeper just didn't feel like it was aligned. It was like I had followed all the directions and ended up somewhere I didn't really feel like home. If any of this sounds familiar, I want you to know you are not alone. You're not broken, you're not ungrateful or weak for wanting more. That feeling that you're longing for something more, that kind of quiet ache for something different, that's not a problem to be fixed. It's a sign. It's a sign that you are ready for the next version of you. Now, one of the biggest shifts for me was learning that being stuck isn't always a crisis. Sometimes it's just a pause, a recalibration, and a chance to ask, what do I really want now? It's an opportunity for reinvention, which, by the way, is a fascinating topic. So we're going to begin to tackle that in the next episode. In fact, I almost called this show the Physician Reinvention Podcast because I think it's such an important concept for doctors and one we don't really talk about. But I digress. And so the truth is, no one actually teaches us how to reassess our lives after we've achieved all our goals. We are trained to go from one milestone to the next, medical school, residency, fellowship, attending life. And then once we get there, no one hands us a manual on how to keep evolving. And so many of us stagnate. We accept our current reality as good as it gets. We keep performing a version of success that no longer fits the life we actually want to have. The truth is that life after training isn't linear. It's dynamic. It bends and curves and changes, and so do we. You're not the same person you were when you wrote that medical school personal statement years ago. And that's not a failure, it's growth. There's this quote from Bruce Lee that I really love, and it says, "Adapt what is useful, reject what is useless, and add what is specifically your own." That's the heart of this podcast. Not telling you what to do, but helping you discover what's useful for you. Maybe it's a mindset shift. Maybe it's a boundary that you have been hesitating to create. Maybe it's a conversation you've been avoiding. My goal isn't to hand you a blueprint. It's really to help you figure out what you truly want and to offer you tools to try on. Just like if you're trying on clothes to see if they might fit. There are no rules to follow here. Because most of us, if we're honest, have been living on autopilot. We wake up, we go to work, we move through the day with a practiced efficiency, and we are so good at it. But somewhere along the way, many of us stopped feeling like we're driving our own lives. We became passengers, successful, competent, and for the most part, respected passengers, but disconnected. This podcast is your invitation to take the wheel again, to slow down, to reflect, and to ask some really important questions. What's still useful? What no longer fits? And what direction makes sense for the kind of physician and person I want to be? I want to be incredibly clear about this. This is not about walking away from medicine. It's not about dramatic reinvention, unless that's what you want to do. At its core, it's about reconnection to your values, to your energy, to the parts of you that you might have forgotten existed along the way, or maybe that you never knew were there in the first place. For me, that reconnection came through physician coaching. It gave me the tools to examine my thoughts, get curious about my patterns, and notice where I was operating from fear instead of intention. It helped me to realize that joy isn't optional, that rest isn't indulgent, and that creativity doesn't make me less of a doctor. All of these things just make me more of a human being. I used to think I had to choose between being a good doctor and living a life that felt good. Now, I know that's false. In fact, when I feel more whole, more aligned, more grounded, that's when I do my best work. That's when I show up more fully for my patients, for my family, and for myself. So, in this podcast, we'll explore what it looks like to live and work with more intention. We'll hear from physicians who have made meaningful changes, not necessarily because they were experiencing a crisis, but because they were ready for something new, something more. We'll talk about burnout, yes, but we'll also talk about belonging, which comes up all the time for physicians. We'll talk about self-doubt and courage, about creativity, exercise, and possibility, and what creating more possibility looks like for us. Again, there's no formula here. There is no one-size-fits-all solutions. Just honest conversations, thoughtful questions, and a space to reflect. Because often what we need most isn't advice. It's the permission to pause and to listen to ourselves and what we truly want. And most of the time, the person that we need permission from is ourselves. We'll explore the power of questions and how the answer to those questions can transform our lives in seemingly unimaginable ways. We're going to ask questions like, what if nothing has gone wrong here? Which is a question that helps me when my day seems like it's gone completely wrong. We're going to ask other questions like, what if the version of success you've been living has already run its course? And what if that's not a failure? What if it's just a sign of growth? What if you're not stuck? You're just in the middle of figuring out what's next. And maybe, most importantly, what would a better physician life look like for you? Not a perfect life, not a dramatic overhaul, just something that is more aligned with who you are now, not who you were 10 or 20 years ago when you started down this path. Again, I want to reiterate, there's no single right answer here. There's no checklist to follow. But you don't have to figure it out alone. That's what we're doing here together. Slowing down, asking better questions, and making room for honest reflection and learning so you can decide what makes sense for you moving forward. So as we begin this journey, I want to leave you with one small, powerful idea. You have the permission to change, to adapt what's useful, to let go of what's not, and to bring forward what is specifically and uniquely your own. You don't have to burn it all down. You don't need to have a 5-year plan. You just need a little curiosity, a little courage, and the willingness to take one honest step at a time toward the life you genuinely want to be having and to be living. This is the beginning of a better physician life. Something new, not because everything that came before was wrong, but because you are ready for more. And I'm so glad you are here with me for this. So, welcome. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time on Better Physician Life. This is the Better Physician Life podcast. I'm Dr. Michael Hersh, a full-time practicing gastroenterologist, a husband, a dad, and the founder of Better Physician Life Coaching. This podcast is designed to help physicians create work-life balance, set goals, manage stress, and feel more present at home and less annoyed at work. It's time to stop feeling trapped in medicine and start enjoying the lives we've worked so hard to build. This podcast isn't medical advice, or legal advice, or financial advice. It's perspective from one doctor to another on how to reclaim your time, purpose, and peace. If you're making big decisions, talk to the people and professionals who know your story best.